I've primed you all with an hour of talking about Sonic the Hedgehog and Clair Obscur, because what we actually have to talk about coming up next is genuinely disheartening, and I am sorry. I am sorry that I did that. So, what's going on? Well, we're talking about ICE again. And this is in Chicago. Apparently, ICE agents surrounded the car of a U.S. citizen in a parking lot. And then, well, I'm going to tell you there were children in the car. And you're going to see everything after that. So, did you catch what just happened there? As the person is yelling that there are children in their car that ICE agents did not happen to give a shit about? Did we get that? Yeah, our tax dollars fund firing guns into vehicles that have children. All right, so also I'm going to say this. If you are a mother and somebody fires a gun into your car with your kids, I believe that you legally should be allowed at least one murder as a treat.
I warned you. I got kids in my car. I warned you.
I warned you, so I fired a gun into your car. Sir, there is nothing that excuses you firing a gun into a car with kids. Like, generally, there's nothing that excuses you firing the gun into the car in the first place, but when you know that there are children there, how do you justify that shit?
I have kids in my car! I'm not moving! She's just trying to help the adults. I'm just trying to help you! I'm not going.
Yeah, so, think about being in the position of this mother. A bunch of agents just fired a gun into your car, your kids are there, and you are now handcuffed, and you are likely going to be sent to a facility of some kind. You know it's ICE, you know what ICE does in the United States, you know that the likelihood of you getting out of this are low because we have a non-zero number of missing people in ICE facilities, and the only people that your children are going to be left with are those ICE agents. How do you respond in that situation? Like, I'm just curious.
You. Do not hurt me. I'm not threatening you.
This was from months ago. This was in 2025. The woman here was apparently an anti-ICE activist. The shots were apparently, according to somebody who's throwing random fucking pro-ICE propaganda, the shots were pepper balls. I have a question. How would the mother have known? How would you know that it's just pepper balls, even if it was? Also, that information is coming from an account called Based Balls, so... Also, remember that the justification for grabbing her was she's an anti-ICE activist. No one was injured. Okay, cool. And what about all of the times where ICE has both injured and just fucking killed people? And their argument is, well, here's all these people who were raped, murdered, or molested. Now, let's note that the reason that people get raped, murdered, and molested does not begin and end with they are from a different country. So not to mention pepper balls are less lethal, not non-lethal. It's just like with rubber ammo, right? It's the same thing with rubber bullets. Less than lethal, but we've seen rubber bullets do A, shit tons of damage, and B, kill. You get a rubber bullet to the temple, you're out. Like, I'm sorry, but... Now, bear in mind, this happens because ICE apparently doesn't need probable cause for arrests, and they haven't needed it for a while. They only need reasonable suspicion that an immigration violation has occurred. But considering that the bar for reasonable suspicion is... Their one-time leader said that you could just go into a house without a warrant, despite the fact that stand your ground laws would literally cause ICE officers to get shot and killed. You know, all I'm saying is, I think maybe we should not be excusing them at all, and I think there should be a bit of a zero-tolerance policy when it comes to ICE. I think that if they are knocking on your door, that's one thing. Don't answer. If they have broken down your door, you have no way of knowing if that's actually somebody who's an ICE official. You have no way of knowing that that's actually a government official. I'm not going to bet the safety of the people in my home over whether or not I'm willing to gamble on if you bought your outfit on Amazon. Dorito says, I can't wait for the Dems to get in power so all this bullshit continues. Yeah, the most disgusting part about all of this is that the nanosecond that we get the Senate and the House, it's not going to mean anything. The Dems are not going to change this. If the Dems were going to change this, Obama would have abolished ICE when he was president. Biden would have abolished ICE when he was president. Clueless says, notice how these stories started up again as soon as they got funding? Strange that. Strange that. So what happens when ICE really needs somebody to get in trouble? They desperately need it. Well, apparently, the next video is of ICE actually boxing somebody into their car and then putting them in an impossible scenario. Let's take a look and see what happens. Now, this one is from the perspective of Phone on Dash.
They're trying to box me in. They boxed me in, guys. They're trying to intimidate me.
We can see one run from behind, run around behind the car.
Don't shoot me! Don't shoot!
Jesus fucking Christ! We don't even use those kind of rifles for the fucking police! Why do you need... Oh, right, hold on. It's because his penis is very small. That's the reason why. Jesus fucking Christ. Why do you need a rifle like that to arrest a person in the first place? Like, why is that even necessary? Like, don't get me wrong, I understand that there is very little difference between 9mm hollow point round found its way outside of a handgun and 9mm hollow point round found its way outside of an AR-15 if you're within, like, 100 feet of a person. There's not a whole lot of difference between those two scenarios when the hollow point meets the human body. But there is a particular type of person who feels like they need that larger gun despite the caliber not being any bigger.
Me, guys, look, he's trying to shoot me. Guys, they're trying to shoot me, guys. Look, they're trying to draw guns on me.
Okay, so yeah, you're boxed in the front.
Guys, they're trying to... Guys, help me, guys. Stop! You're fucking scaring me! I am a citizen! I'm a citizen!
Yeah, what's the probable cause here? Too brown? Like, what's your actual thing? Like, just person is brown? And again, let me see here. Hold on. Let me see. So I honestly think every law enforcement should get double the max sentence by default for every crime they commit. I agree with that as well. I think that if you are going to be an officer of the law should be less than lenient on you. So right now, let's see here. Do you want to know why nobody should trust ICE at the moment? This is from the Marshall Project. This is from 2 months ago. For about 5 days in December, Abdullah Muhammad seemingly vanished into the U.S. immigration detention system. Immigration and Customs Enforcement had detained him near Portland, Maine, and held him for more than 7 weeks in Massachusetts. And then without warning, ICE began moving him repeatedly across the country, from state to state, facility to facility, faster than his family could keep up. News of his whereabouts came to them in fragments. An email from his lawyer said he was in Mississippi, a phone call from the wife of a fellow detainee who said he was in Louisiana, and at one point a call from Muhammad himself that lasted 2 minutes from an undisclosed airport. His lawyer laid out what was happening. They're doing this now more and more, moving people without any notice. The transfers, he explained, can block people like Muhammad from speaking with an attorney and make it difficult to file legal petitions in the right jurisdiction while distressing families. This is cruelty. And it's true. Imagine how hard it is to speak to a lawyer, especially if you need to physically sit down across from one to talk about things like case files. And that lawyer can't get across from you in any way, shape, or form because, oh, guess what? You just happen to be in a different state today than you were yesterday when shit stopped. Quick and repeated transfers have become more common in President Donald Trump's second term. Immigration lawyers say the many transfers not only cause undue suffering for people being detained and their families, but have significantly undermined due process protections because detainees have limited access to phones while in transit, and ICE's detainee locator doesn't always reflect their real-time location. Immigration attorneys say that rapid transfers can leave people unreachable for hours or even days. Also, can we point out that rapid transfers of individuals is just costing us tax dollars for no reason? Like, Oil and electricity are not free things, right? These are things that our tax dollars have to actually go in for. Why would we constantly do the rapid transfer thing other than to make it harder to get justice for people and to be cruel when we could just leave people in a single facility and it would be cheaper? So the cost of the fuel is worth it for fear. Rixara says, so watching the short, I have to ask that she apparently live streamed it. Did they not start calmly and explaining before breaking the window, but also broke it because she was resisting? But also they didn't arrest her. It feels very gotcha, and like the context was missing. So here's the thing. It's ICE, and they surrounded her vehicle with other vehicles. I don't give two flying fucks. I give less than two flying fucks. Said, was she trying to drive away? Very likely, but you know what? Let's go ahead and see here. Rather, I will say this. I don't give a shit if she was trying to drive away, because we know that right now, if you are captured by ICE, this is what happens. If you are captured by them, you get rapidly put into center after center after center, and you're like, you can't even do the whole, well, they'll just wait for the system to do its thing. The system doesn't do its thing for you. People get lost in that system. And especially if you're a mom, that's just you not being part of anything anymore. Like, I'm sorry, there is one group of people right now that I will not give any leniency to, and it is ICE. It is ICE.
I'm a fucking citizen!
This happened 6 months ago. You see how he never ever took his hand off of the trigger. I put my car in park the moment I realized they were boxing me in. They knew I was alone, they knew I was a citizen, and now they are killing my people. Last Monday...
Like, here's the thing. We do not tell the Jewish person as the Holocaust is happening that maybe they should be complying with the system a little better. Like, that's silly. This is what's happening right now. Like, people are disappearing. Rixara says, don't police do that if there's a concern you might drive away, but also she was let go? It doesn't matter. Okay, so Rixara, do you think that we should live in a world where police can just... And also, by the way, ICE officers aren't police. Get that out of the way. But do you believe we should live in a world where people are just kind of controlled with fear like that? Do you think that's okay? Dorito points out this is why people run away. Like, I think it's valid to run away from ICE. I'm sorry. Venezuelan man on immigration hold dies in transport bus in Irwin County.
Well, the GBI is investigating the death of an...
Said first, did they actually fire on her? Doesn't matter. They are still aiming... Okay, so, question. Do I get involved do I get in trouble as a United... Actually, hold on. Rixar, why are you giving benefit of the doubt to ICE? Let me first ask that one. What are you trying to gain? What benefit is there for that? Secondly, I see no difference if somebody aims a gun at me between them pulling the trigger and not. Once the gun has been aimed at me, the threat is as real whether that finger goes on the trigger and squeezes it or it doesn't. The only difference is whether or not I'm in the hospital or dead afterwards. But as far as my response is concerned, it will be the same in all those scenarios.
An immigration detainee from Venezuela in Irwin County. The Irwin County Sheriff says Jesus Manuel Arenas Silva was being held on an immigration hold at the Irwin County Detention Center when he had a medical emergency on a transport bus and fell. He was rushed to a hospital where he later died. The GBI's Perry office is now looking into what happened, and officials say they are still waiting on the official cause of death.
Published July... So this was 3 days ago? So just in the middle of transport, he dies. So we would still need to get more information on this situation. Little Firecat says, finger on trigger or not, you only aim a gun at someone you intend to kill. Do not point a gun at something you do not intend to shoot. Yeah, that's... No. Javon Boy says, emphasis should be put on finger on trigger point here. Basic firearm safety for any government agency is finger on triggers when you are meaning to kill. Dan says, I would want to run if I was surrounded like that, although I've never... Said, oh, it's because they didn't allow his medications? Oh, that's cool. That's fantastic. That's wonderful. So his sister and immigrants' rights groups in Georgia said in a press statement that ICE didn't provide them with their necessary medications during the time in detention for an unnamed condition that he was dealing with, despite his family's pleas that he take the medication during the arrest last week. Said this one's been 20 minutes away, so you've been keeping your eye on it. Yeah, so here's the thing. Let's go ahead and get a couple things out of the way right now. 1, ICE is not necessary. 2, ICE are evil. 3, If it were a Nazi, we would not give benefit of the doubt in any of their situations. Therefore, I do not give the benefit of the doubt when it is ICE. They have not earned the benefit of the doubt. They do not get the benefit of the doubt. If people keep on dying in their custody, if people keep on disappearing in their system, then I do not think anybody who is currently working for ICE deserves any good thing that happens to them, much less the benefit of the doubt. Always listen to people when they tell you who they are the first time. And ICE, under the last Trump administration and this Trump administration, have very much proven exactly who the fuck they are, in no uncertain terms. As an example, this is from January. ICE's secret policy to forcibly enter homes without a judicial warrant. Which this wasn't really secret. We actually got this one leaked pretty quickly. 2 whistleblowers recently revealed a secret U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement policy permitting agents to forcibly enter the homes of certain non-citizens without a judicial warrant. So I'm going to ask you, anybody in the chat right now who might be even mildly, even slightly, even possibly pro-ICE. You have gun. Person breaks into your house. Person who breaks into your house has gun. What happens next? In my house, the thing that happens next is a firefight. The nanosecond that somebody has broken into a house, my assumption is that is an assailant. My assumption is that is a person who ought not be there, and they will be forcibly removed, even if it is by getting them off of this earth. No. You serve a warrant. You do this the proper way. If you don't do this the proper way, it's self-defense, and I have stand your ground laws in Georgia. Dorito says, in case you missed the message, the Irwin ICE facility was the same facility that was giving immigrants hysterectomies without their knowledge or consent. Hysterectomies without their knowledge or consent? Boy, howdy. Do you know what that is? That is called genocide. If there is a group of people that you are attempting to stop from breeding, the term for that is genocide. We have a very clear term for that. Dorito, if you want to show me anything on that, feel free. U.S. Representative Pramila Jayapal, ranking member of the Subcommittee of Immigration, blah, 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 issued the following statement regarding a report that the Trump admin plans to reopen the Irwin Detention Center where women were subjected to unnecessary medical procedures without their consent. It is deeply disturbing and dangerous that the Trump admin is choosing to reopen the private for-profit Irwin Detention Center. In 2020, during the first Trump admin, I was the member of Congress to speak to attorneys representing women who were detained at Irwin, subjected to forced medical procedures, including full or partial hysterectomies, without their knowledge or consent. These invasive or unnecessary procedures left women without the ability to have children. Following the passage of a bipartisan resolution I led in October of 2020, the Department of Homeland Security ended its use of the facility in May 2021. Little Firecott says ICE is straight up swatting people and practicing eugenics now. Fuck. So not practicing it now. Jessica says, I've had nightmares where I'm kidnapped by ICE and had surgery on. Was fucking terrifying. Yeah, and it's... So, this is the reason why I don't play these bullshit fucking games of, oh, was she resisting arrest? Oh, was she trying to flee? No! Fuck that! In every possible way, in every possible language, fuck that mentality. That mentality is for people who have earned it. These people have not. Over half a century ago, the Supreme Court made it clear that under the Fourth Amendment, a warrant is issued by a neutral and detached magistrate. The court has made it clear that such a warrant is required before any law enforcement can enter their way into the home to make an arrest. The point of the Fourth Amendment is to make sure that an impartial party considers the evidence before a warrant is issued, allowing law enforcement officers to make their own decisions about when they can knock down your door. If you allow the law enforcement officers to decide they can just knock down your door, that would reduce the amendment to a nullity and leave people's homes secure only in the discretion of police officers. No. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Benefit of the doubt for people who have earned it. Benefit of the doubt is the default that you give to almost all people because they earn it by being people. But when an organization has proven over and over again that the benefit of the doubt is something that they will use to squeeze out of shit like a goddamn slug, no. Also, let's continue this one.
People. Last Monday, I woke up and I found out that they had taken the life, this own government had taken the life of a brother. This morning, we wake up and they did it again. This is not normal. This is not okay.
Every person who is accosted by ICE is 12 billion% valid in trying to escape.
Here.
I'm gonna fucking hit the car.
Impeding, okay?
I'm not impeding. I'm trying to get out of the fucking way. You see how fucking narrow it is?
Back out.
Then move.
Back out.
Move. You're in my. You are
out.
endangering me. Get out of my way, please, so I can back up. I'm gonna fucking hit this car.
Here.
So we can't see the part where there's a car behind her. We don't have any information on that one. But I will say, this is not the first time that I have seen ICE agents box somebody in and then give them a impossible scenario. Okay, so DM'd it. I'm not giving benefit of the doubt, and I don't think life should be ruled by fear. However, it does appear that's where we're currently at. In the clip, she makes a comment about them pointing a gun, but in the clip, they didn't point it. No, they did. They did point the gun in the clip. I can go back to where they did. Dude.
Don't shoot me, guys.
That is the barrel of the gun. That is the barrel of the gun right there. If he pulls the trigger right there, that bullet goes through the window and into her chest. It's right there. Didn't give a chance to explain. Later in the clip, they do explain, and she immediately cussed them out. Yeah, it's a fuck. Of course she cussed them out. What the fuck do you expect? What the... You are living in a scenario where the people around you are actively causing fear and killing your friends and family. And the curse words are the thing that we're no. Okay. Meaning she was being antagonistic towards them. Yes, they started it. No. If they started it, that is all it is. Dorito says, what are they reading? So, Rick Sawara, who is a friend of mine, who, if any of you start dogpiling, I will just start banning you very, very quickly. Rick Sawara is giving her perspective on this, and I am reading it. But I am also not going to soften anything I say, because we're talking about human lives. So literally hear them saying this is an explanation, not a threat to her. That is a gun pointed at her. No. This is like when an abusive father has the belt and they're about to hit you and they're going, this isn't hatred, this is love. No. No, I don't give two flying fucks. She refused to comply despite the fact that she was detained legally. Legal and moral are not the same thing. And also, might I point out that every person who was disappeared in ICE facilities, the literal thousands of people who have disappeared in ICE facilities, were all detained legally. No. She was asked to leave the car and resisted. Right, because when you leave your car, you no longer have the safety of the vehicle. The person living in America where their friends and family are getting killed, and the ones who are not getting killed are disappearing. Clueless points out, ICE disappeared my neighbor for 2 weeks and left the door broken down. I fixed it while she was detained. I didn't know what happened, and she won't talk about what happened. And she's a citizen. No. Said, so to sum up, she was pulled over in public and detained, was calmly explained to, there's a fucking gun pointed at her. That's not no. If I pull out my 9mm right now and I aim it at somebody's head and I start talking, I'm not calm because there is a gun aimed at their head. That is not how human beings work. To me, I dislike ICE. I fucking hate them. I think that it should be a punishable offense to even join them. I hate the idea of fear being a ruling factor, but realistically, between making things worse and someone because of active resistance versus compliance, it's nuanced, it's complicated. It's not nuanced. A gun was aimed at a person and they are disappearing people. No. That is not what we're doing. So at a bare minimum, that is atrocious and the discipline is unsafe to an extreme degree. Agreed. No. I'm not gonna do this pussy-footed, it's nuanced, it's complicated. No, it's a group of people aiming guns at people. Rixar says, I clearly was not clear enough with what I meant. Rixar, with all due respect, as a very, very good friend of mine, as a person who I have a ton of respect for, perhaps playing devil's advocate for the actual Gestapo is not a good idea. This does not do anything to our friendship in any way, shape, or form. I'm not playing devil's advocate. That's what the definition of playing devil's advocate is what you're doing. Like, so that I can, Gapaggio, the last person I am going to use as my barometer for what is reasonable is you. No. I will look at the video
Yeah, what
you
are
sent me,
stopping for?
but I don't think it's going to change my opinion.
They're ICE vehicles.
Okay, so she's surrounded by ICE vehicles. That's the same thing we saw before.
Oh, you're gonna point a gun at me? That's my first warning? Okay. Get out of my city. Get out of my city.
I can explain a couple things to you, just so that you understand, okay? This isn't a threat, this is just an explanation so that you understand.
Okay, so this is the part where we're not showing the gun being aimed at her.
Okay? When we are doing a lawful investigation, we are allowed to detain people. When we detain people, we are allowed to give them lawful orders, which includes to step out of the vehicle.
You're breaking my window, guys. I'm a U.S. citizen. It's insane. Insane. This guy's breaking.
So, again, I don't care. And the reason I don't care is we have actual, tangible, factual evidence of what happens when people get thrown into this system. It is a gamble with whether or not you will survive it. There is a non-zero amount of people who have died in ISIS systems. There's a non-zero amount of people who have disappeared. Like, actually, 1,200 people from Alligator Alcatraz have actually disappeared. And that's not counting all the different places around the country where they've actively disappeared. And lawyers have pointed out this is a thing that is happening for a reason. If my options are throw my life gambling on something like that or not, I'm gonna choose not. And I think it's very reasonable to continue to choose not gambling my life away like that. As somebody who has been in a jail cell, and I know what the cruelty to just prisoners looks like from within one of those facilities, not ICE, just our jails. The worst shit that we throw immigrants in because we quite literally have a fuck ton of propaganda arguing that they're less than human? No. I understand it. Okay, this seems very, very emotionally charged. I don't think I'm able to explain my stance, my view, my thoughts clearly in a way that will make sense. Yes, it's emotionally charged because I'm watching people die, Rixara. It's emotionally charged because I'm watching people disappear. It's emotionally charged because people that I love and care about are at risk. I cannot interact with this in a way that is not emotionally charged. It is actively impossible for me to do so. And I am actively, incredibly, reasonably as far as I can understand, but perhaps unreasonably, incredibly angry. If all you are trying to do is say, there's nuance, cool. I can accept that there is a non-zero amount of nuance. I can also accept that that non-zero amount of nuance is not enough to change my perspective. My perspective is what it is because of the information that I have, because of the people who I have seen disappear, because of the people I have seen die. My perspective is what it is, based on evidence. And evidence that has been presented to me on top of this has not actually changed any of that. A running count of how many people ICE has killed and injured as of January 29th, 2026. I don't need to go into this article. It's just talking about how many people have died. It points out Alex Preddy, Renee Good, two people who we had all of the video evidence showing that they shouldn't have died. And this is confirmed deaths. This doesn't talk about the people who have vanished. I said it's a list. Go down. A death because they were shot with a less than lethal weapon that shattered their right testicle during surgery. Oh, the less than lethal weapon shattered their right testicle. No. Is that death or injury? That one is... it says injury. Shattered right testicle, agency, unknown, traumatic brain injury, shattered skull. Why is that freaking out? Oh, that bottom part of that page. Okay, that's injuries. Those are injuries. What about the deaths in custody? Other than the fact that I can't read it at all. It said each graph has multiple pages. I wonder if I can go to the next page without it freaking out. Oh my god, why is it only page 1 that freaks out? Norland Guzman Fuentes, sniper attack on field office. Unnamed Mexican man died in intensive care after diagnosed of a heat stroke and severe dehydration. What? Unexplained Mexican woman, cancer. Unexplained Cuban woman died in intensive care, had a pre-existing condition which required dialysis. Pre-existing condition that required dialysis. That reads like they deliberately did not give her care. Because that's what happened like 3 hours south of here. Found unresponsive after fever. Preliminary cause of death was heart attack. Complications of alcohol, hepatic psoriasis, and cardiac hypertrophy, increased size of the heart. At 48, naturally caused illness such as anemia and septic shock resulting from pneumonia. Pneumonia? I mean, they are 72, but at the same time, that's the kind of thing that typically happens in unsanitary conditions where they're just not given proper fucking warmth. Died after treatment for end-stage renal disease, contracting pneumonia, and developing sepsis. So they just developed sepsis in the ICE facility and died after being treated in the ICE facility. 39, press release says no pulse, no brain function. Rixara says, for me, as somebody who has immersed themselves in cyberpunk lore, studied it, honestly, we are in poor man's cyberpunk timeline, so sadly I see as par for the course. I don't agree with what's happening. For me, the question about all this is, what does getting angry do? Does it solve? Does it help? We can say dissolve ICE, but what actions can actually be taken to do so? Sure, actually. Much like how ICE was created by President Bush under the Bush administration, dissolving ICE is as easy as having Congress and the president. If we have a Democratic president, and if we have a Congress that is democratically controlled, all it takes is that majority in Congress to put forward a bill dissolving that governmental organization and having a president who will not veto that bill. That's all it takes. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitta, you know I'm not saying that last part, Sylvie Snow, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.